Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let all the people out on social media know that the stream is getting ready to go on. What's going on, D. Woodward? What's going on, Anthony Ogans? Now, y'all see the bed in the back over there. And that bed right there is looking quite tempting for a lot of these black folks out here. And the reason why this bed is looking so tempting for so many of these black folks that out here is because a lot of these black folks, they want to go to sleep. And the kind of sleep I'm not talking about is a physical sleep, whereas you're getting 8 hours of rest and getting prepared for the next day to go put that work in on whatever goals you want to pursue. No, the sleep I'm talking about is a mental sleep and a spiritual sleep. And that's what your black folks, they want to go back to be lumbering under is this mental sleep and this spiritual sleep where they don't have to think about any sort of problems or think about taking any sort of action as related towards working on a solution for many of the problems that are in the black community. So most of the black folks, what they want to do is they're looking at the bed right now. The bed is looking real tempting. And what they want to do is go right back to sleep. And they want to go back to, they want the permission to go back to sleep because they believe that their master, Joe Biden, will become the savior who will take the responsibility for them and go out here and solve their problems. So this is the main reason why you have so many black folks out here looking at the bed and thinking about pulling back that comforter, pulling back those sheets, and getting ready to go roll back in that bed and go back to sleep. So the live stream was asking the critical question, do black people want to go back to sleep? And the answer, I believe, is I believe quite a few black people want to go back to sleep, and they don't want to they don't want to wake up and take a look at the world that they live in. They want to go back to sleep, and they want to get back in that bed and not have to think about any of the things going on around them. What they want to do is let the master, Joe Biden, come in and take care of their problems, and they can go back to the role of being codependent children in white supremacist America, because that's what the sleepy people want to do. They want to go back to their role in as related to white supremacy, where the white supremacist lets them go back to being these childlike people, and these childlike people can continue to go on participating in their same dysfunctional behavior, and they don't have to go out here and do any sort of hard work, because doing hard work means you have to actually not only be awake, you have to actually open your eyes and see the reality that's going on in front of you. And then you have to take a self examination of yourself. And after you, take that self examination, you have to go out here and think about making changes for yourself in order to get your life right and get yourself moving forward. And most Black people, they really don't want to move forward. What they want to do is stay in the same position, because that's what codependent people like to do. Stay in that same position with the abuser. And then when things go wrong or things don't work out, they have somebody to blame for not making any sort of progress. So that's what the sleepy people want to do. They want to use Joe Biden as an excuse to avoid putting in the work themselves. And then when they don't get the changes that they want out of life, then go back and blame Joe Biden for things not working out the way they were supposed to work. So this going to sleep, again, is a mental thing, and it's all about the Black person's mind. What they want to do is go to sleep so that they can go out here and deny that there are any problems going on in the Black community. They want to deny that there are problems going on in their life. And if they go to sleep, they can say that even though there were problems going on, they weren't aware of them because they were asleep. And because they were asleep, they didn't know what was going on. But the truth is, they did know what was going on. They just wanted to create a covert contract with white supremacy, where they would sit there and deny that things were going on. And then white supremacy would give them a pass so that they could prove their point about Black people being lazy and incompetent and stupid. But in actuality, they just did not want to take that responsibility. So that's why they want to get back in that bed, go to sleep, and act like nothing's going on. Now, there's another group as related to the sleepy types, and I went in depth on this group of sleepy people in my novel Spellbound that I published in 2016. Now, the spellbound people are also eager to go back to sleep, and I'm going to leave a link to the novel Spellbound so you can pick up a copy on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And it's a great book that will teach you about the spellbound Black person. And the spellbound Black person is another one who wants to go back to sleep because they want to go back to fitting in the Black box that is acceptable to white people. Now, when we had the Trump presidency, there was no box for these Black people to fit in. They had to deal with a man who was openly against Black people and openly expressed that he had no interest in helping Black people. So there was no box with the Trump presidency like it was with the Biden presidency. And now we have this other group, the spellbound Black folks, who want to get back to sleep so that they can have a dream of fitting into that box that is acceptable to white people. So they want to go back to sleep and dream of finding some group of white folks that will accept them and be able to give them a spot in the white world. So these people are eager to get back into that bed. What's going on, T-Mac, E-Deck, Far Side of the Fan? Glad to see you here. Gordon Freeman, I'm glad you're enjoying these streams, but these guys are eager to get back into that bed because they are spellbound and driven to fit into that black box that's acceptable to white people. And they want to get back to having that dream where this white person is going to validate them. This white person is going to approve of them. And this white person is going to give them their dream of being an H-nice inside of a white institution. That's why they're eager to get out of the work clothes, get back to the house, go have a cup of sleepy time tea, get into those pajamas, and hit that bed one more again, because they won't have to think of a world where they have to stand out here on their own and stand out here as a black man and a black woman. No, they can go out here and be an imaginary shill for white people, and they can be the ideal of what they tell them black is. So this is a group that is very, very eager to get back in that bed. And this is a group that definitely wants to get in that bed and get back to sleep very, very desperately, because they want to have those dreams of being accepted by the white folks. And the spellbound are the ones who are quick to want to fall under that somnolent state, because they want to get to sleep so bad they can taste it, because they're looking forward to having that dream that one day white folks will accept them, white folks will love them, and white folks will go out here and do things that will be doing things that make them smile. So they really want to be accepted by white folks, and we have these guys they're ready to go to bed, and it's just not funny how ready they are to go back to bed. So the spellbound are one group. Then we have another group of black folks who are eager to go to sleep. And this is a group there's a group of black women out here who are eager to go to sleep as well. And they want to go back to sleep because they want to fit into that black box again that's acceptable to white people. And the reason why they want to fit into that box is because they saw that Kamala Harris was picked to be the vice president. And now that they see Kamala Harris has been picked to be the vice president, they have created this covert contract between themselves and Kamala Harris, thinking that they can use her light skin as a gateway to find acceptance into white society. So Joe Biden picking Kamala Harris as vice president was not just something that he just did begrudgingly. He did it also so that he could get black women to go out here and vote for Kamala Harris. And they were not only voting for her, they were voting for white acceptance. So when they voted for white acceptance, they wanted to get back in that bed, and they wanted to get back in that bed and go to sleep so that they could have, again, the dream of being accepted by the white folks, and that the white folks would go out here and praise them. So they bought in to this rhetoric talking about, oh, Kamala Harris is the first black female vice president. And that rhetoric right there has a lot of the black women, again, got that chamomile tea in their hands and waiting for it to cool down, waiting for the chamomile tea to cool down so they can take a couple sips. And then they want to get back in that bed and take a nice sleep for 8, maybe 9 years, where they don't have to deal with reality, and they can still go out here buying into the dream, talking about how your Kamala Harris is the first black female vice president, even though she is only going out here hiring Indians and helping out people from India. They want to go out here and buy into the dream that they are going to be, they have achieved this major accomplishment, but that accomplishment is nothing more than empty symbolism. And that empty symbolism means absolutely nothing. But you can't tell that to the sleepy time folks, because the sleepy time folks, they don't care about the symbolism. All they want to do is have some sort of hope that makes them feel like they can just stop what they're doing and go let things go and then leave it in the hands of somebody else. Because one of the things that the sleepy folks want to do is the sleepy folks just don't want to take any sort of responsibility for anything. The sleepy folks, what they want to do is abdicate their responsibility over their own personal lives. And what they want to do is hand that over to the white man and his black female, well, supposedly black female vice president, and then hope and wish and pray that things change, and not understanding that you handing over power for somebody else to change things means they're going to change things on their terms, and they're not going to change things on your terms. Because if you want things to change on your terms, you have to be active about going out to seek change, and sometimes you have to be aggressive about seeking change. But the sleepy people, they don't want to seek change. What they want to do is buy into ideas and fantasies from people. Greetings, Steve Awalamek, glad to see you here. They want to buy into fantasies that are manufactured by your people in mainstream media, that a great white savior is going to come in, and that great white savior is going to come in and do all of the work for them, and they're going to give them something as related to whatever's out there, and they will reap all the benefits from everything. So that's one of the things that Black people are eager to get back to. A lot of them are eager to get back in that bed, and they're eager to get back to sleep, because now we have Massa Biden, who is going to go out here and take care of you so you don't have to take care of yourself. That is the mindset that many Black people have out here as related to Joe Biden. And that's why we're starting to see all of these Black folks out here looking to go out here and get that chamomile tea, looking to go out here, put on those Old Navy pajamas, and looking to roll back into that bed, and they're looking to go straight to sleep, and they're looking to hope and pray that as they are sleeping in their beds, somebody is going to do the work for them, and then when they wake up, they will eventually be socially accepted and in the middle class. It's the delusion that, many Black people have, and they're looking forward to getting back to that delusion. But us who live in the red pill reality, we know that this is not true. But the Black folks, they're sitting there hoping that they can get back to that sleepy point. And we have a lot of other Black folks out here looking to get to that sleepy point, thinking about getting in that bed. And in addition to the spellbound people and your up Black women, we also have these Black Lives Matter people who are also looking to go back to sleep. Now, your Black Lives Matter, these people are the funniest because they claim to be so woke, but these are the people who I see who are the first in line with the big cup of chamomile tea, looking to go back to sleep. So they're the ones sitting there talking about how they want to make all of these changes, But when you look at the way they're approaching things, it's clear to me that they want to go back to sleep. Now, your Black Lives Matter, they were out here talking about how woke they were during the marches for the murder of George Floyd. But when you look at the way they were acting, they were not about getting any sort of tangible justice for George Floyd. They were all about pushing their agenda as related to promoting the alphabet lifestyle and promoting things like single motherhood and the establishment of the welfare state. And these sleepy time folks, what they want to do is they want to make it look like they're active about doing something, when in actuality, they're all about doing nothing. Because we had one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter organization out here. She wrote a letter to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris asking, can I get some tangibles, after she and all of these black women went to vote for them. And this is some more sleepy time behavior, because you're going to sit there and ask a president after you vote for him for tangibles. That was one of the most hilarious things I ever saw, because those who want to ask the president for tangibles ask for tangibles before they go out here and vote for said candidate, and they present an agenda before they go and approach said candidate. So you have this Black Lives Matter. These people, they just want to get back to sleep, because the way they're operating shows that they are practically fatigued, and they don't really know how to function at all, because you're sending a guy a letter, and sending a guy a letter is ridiculous, because your Joe Biden gets hundreds of thousands of letters a day, and he doesn't care about letters. He deals with people face to face at things like these $500 or $1,000 a plate dinners. Those people buy access to a Joe Biden, and they go out here and talk to a Joe Biden and present their agenda. And they present their agenda with a group of large numbers that represents a voting bloc. But the sleepy time people, they think, oh, if I write him a letter, he's going to respond by wanting to negotiate building a black agenda. And that's just coming from the place of being extremely sleepy. Far Side, they can go anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Thank you, Steve, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. If you want to donate to the super chat, you can donate to them, or you can donate to the Cash App. It's greatly appreciated. But they want to go out here, and they have these dinners, they talk to these candidates, they present their agendas, and the candidate, because he knows that this guy has spent money to go to the dinner, knows this guy is somebody who is looking to invest in him. And that's one way they do things. The other way is some people come in a group and they make demands. But there's two approaches. There's the talking to the candidate at this dinner or this function. Usually people pay to get in. And when the politician sees that people have money are going to pay in, he knows that there's going to be something in it for him or her. Or they come and make demands of the candidate because they picked that candidate. And when they pick that candidate, again, they're coming from a place of money, because usually it's business owners and people who control the economic base who pick a candidate. Like in certain communities, these people go out here and they own businesses. So when they go out and they want their political interests met, they pick the candidate, and then they send the candidate to get their tangibles as related to taxes and earmarks and community standards met. So it's already a rigged game. Unfortunately, most black folks are behind the eight ball, and the sleepy black folks, they're thinking that if they put in a minimal effort like Black Lives Matter, maybe somebody might put it on the kindness of their heart to want to talk to them, like and try to get some tangibles at the table. But most of those people are laughing at these individuals, because they know this person really isn't serious about anything, and they're willing to just play along. And some are just willing to just blow you off, like Joe Biden did with Ice Cube, because they know you're going to get ready to go back to sleep. They know that that bed is really tempting. They know that you love being in bed, and they know you love to be mentally asleep, because a lot of black folks, they are mentally asleep and they can't wait to get back into that bed, and they can't wait to get back into this dream state, because their whole existence is not about trying to build anything or empower themselves. Their whole drive for living is getting acceptance from this white God and getting this white God to praise them and pat them on the head. So they want to get back into that whole world of white acceptance. And this is something that has been going on ever since the dark days of the civil rights movement, because what derailed the civil rights movement was people stopped focusing on going out here to gain equal access to the law and equal access to their tax dollars that they were paying into the system, so they could get equal services from their government, like the same amount of money for the schools in their community that they paid taxes on, equal access to better quality roads, equal access to safe roads where they would not be terrorized and harassed by these race soldiers and these rogue police officers, and getting equal access to quality housing. That's what the civil rights movement should have been all about, getting equal resources from a government they pay taxes in, equal access to services from the taxes they paid in, and equal access to tangible resources from the governments that they pay in, and equal access to voting so that they can vote for the candidates they choose, so that they can ensure that those tangibles would be brought back to them. Unfortunately, many of the sleepy black folks, they were so caught up in the civil rights movement in getting acceptance from white people, they were more focused on the social aspect of things, and what they wanted was social acceptance. And it was this quest for social acceptance that lulled so many black folks to sleep during the civil rights movement and led to black folks getting off course as related to civil rights, and then getting caught up in social acceptance. And this social acceptance, this was used to drive a wedge between black men and black women. And this is what happened is they used the black woman and had her going out here wanting this social acceptance because she wanted to be like this white woman. She wanted to be accepted like this white woman. And this is something that we saw with a lot of American black women, and it's still today. And I talked about this in depth in my book, Why 70% of black women are single. And that book is in paperback and Kindle format. I talk about how they use these black women and their quest for social acceptance and to undermine the black community and take control over the black economy, because the black woman wanted to be socially accepted. She wanted to be like white women. And that was an Achilles heel to the overall black community that undermined the entire black infrastructure, because those spellbound black women, they were so desperate for white acceptance. Instead of them supporting the black-owned businesses in their community, they went out here running to go shop at the white stores and the white businesses, taking money out of the black community and taking money out of black merchants and business owners' hands. And that practically crippled the black economy. That, along with the establishment of the welfare state, which removed the black father from the home. And ever since then, we've had this whole black community just fall into a deep sleep. And for just one little moment in time, the Trump presidency, we had black folks who had to wake up. And the reason why they had to wake up was because they no longer could codepend on a white zaddy to go out here and take care of them. they had a man in the White House who was willfully and intentionally telling them that no one was going to care for them. And that led to a lot of pain for Black folks, but it also led to a lot of growth. And now that that era is over, we now have Black folks thinking about, again, getting themselves a big cup of that chamomile tea and getting on those pajamas and getting ready to go hit the bed and hit that bed and start thinking about, again, the quest for social white acceptance and thinking about that quest of trying to climb the white social ladder. That's what we're seeing with Black people, because a lot of Black folks, they get caught up in their emotions about trying to find someone to like them and seeking that approval from these white institutions and these white people. So they really want to be liked. And again, our low self-esteem is another reason why we have so many Black people who want to go out here and go to sleep, is that they want to go out here and they want that social validation and that social approval. And they want somebody white to say that they're good. They want somebody white to say that they like them. They want somebody white to say that that what they're doing is great. And that's all that they really want. And they consider that when a white person says that they're good, that's an accomplishment. Well, I kind of find that to be quite ridiculous, because I've had quite a few white people, tell me that the books I write are good, but I'm not here for white approval when I go out here and I write a book. And when I write books that are pop and Black fiction or nonfiction, I want to write books that are the best. I don't want to just do this just to seek white approval. I also want to present positive images of Black people in my fiction, and I want to educate people across the globe with my nonfiction. It's not about, oh, a white man said it was good, so you should go out here and buy it. It's about me being the best and wanting to strive to be the best. But the sleepy people, when they go out here, they want that white person to go out here and say, hey, you're a good person. And that's enough to make their lives. And they practically, if they could die at that point, they would be satisfied with the entirety of their life, because, oh, a white person said I was good, so now I can go to sleep. So I can not only go to sleep, I can die, and I can die happy because God has told me I was good. Well, that's not the Most High living God that I know and have experienced. That is a false God. And most Black folks out here who subscribe, again, to going to sleep, they want the approval and praise of their false God and approval of them. Well, Anthony, I've had numerous white people buy my books. I mean, Sandman has read The Man Crisis and he gave it high praise. I've had numerous white people all across the globe buy my books. I have no problem with white people buying my books. I've had a guy in Italy. He gave me great praise for Misadventures of Captain Save-'Em. But I come into this based on wanting to be a high quality writer who writes quality stories. I don't want to just be just the Black guy, because that's what the woke people want to do. The woke people like Ta-Nehisi Coates, they want to be the big Black fish in the room. They want to be the only Black person in the room. And that's not what I would want to be, is just one Black person in the room. They want to be the token, but we don't need to be tokens. You want to be a good, solid, quality, talented person who, when people will say your name, they go, that's associated with quality, not he's the Black guy like a Ta-Nehisi Coates who just is out here and he just makes his name on being Black. He doesn't make his name on being quality. Because I know so many Ta-Nehisi Coates readers who have read his Captain America and Black Panther, they have a problem with that book. Okay, Z-Ken, you're asking, I have other books and I'm going to talk about them right now. I have right now Eastine Blast from the Past, which is now available on Amazon in paperback. And you can get this book on Black Friday on Kindle. But this book has a fun bonus in addition to the Blast from the Past story. This book features the E-Steam No Good Deed comic by Bill Walko. So I'm branching out into comics. I do Black science fiction and Black fantasy. And this comic strip is inside of the book. And you can get this book on Amazon right now. And this book, again, it features the first SJS Direct comic. And it's one of the things I'm trying to branch out into is comics. So that's one of the things that I write is African American fantasy. So you can get Blast from the Past right now. You get that right now in paperback right now. And then this one again features the first SJS Direct comic. And eventually, I'm hoping to branch out and do a comic next year. And I'm hoping to have that up soon. I'm thinking about doing a John Haynes. I just did a John Haynes script. That's a good, amount of pages. And I think I can get through if I can get enough donations on the Cash App and the Patreon. So this is coming out on Black Friday. On Halloween, I published Eternal Night, which is a Black vampire novel, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from readers on Eternal Night. People are telling me they love the story. So I've heard from like 3 or 4 people about Eternal Night. And this one is available on Amazon right now. I'm trying to get the sales up. I need 4 more sales, and this book will pass Spellbound for the number of books sold in the initial launch period. I mean, it is the best-selling SJS Direct book as related to a launch, but I just need 4 more sales, and it will practically tie Spellbound for the first 3 months the book was out. I mean, the first 90 days, Spellbound had gotten the number of sales. It took 3 to 4 months for Spellbound to get that number of sales, and Eternal Night is there within 2 weeks or so. So 4 more sales, and we will have met that mark. And I really want to see it meet that mark, and I can only do that with your help. I also do other fantasy stories like Temptation of John Haynes, which is the book that starts the SJS Direct universe. This is a critically acclaimed African-American fantasy story about John Haynes and how Lucifer tempts him. So I have a lot of different books up there, and you can pick up all of those books in paperback and Kindle format. Also have the John Haynes series and the John Haynes graphic novel, what I'm working on right now. I just finished the first draft of the script. I don't do the illustrations and stuff. I commissioned comic artists because I love the comic book industry. I love comic books, and I hire artists like Mike Williams to do the covers for books like Temptation of John Haynes, and I hire artists like Bill Walko to do the covers for the ISIS series and the E-Steam series, because comic books were the way I learned how to read, and I try to give back to the community that helped me learn how to read by hiring comic artists to do work on my projects. And that's the reason why I hire comic book artists to do the covers. Plus, when African American fantasy, I just cannot find images of Black people, so I have to commission artists to do the images and present the fantasy that features us. So that's one of the things I do in addition to the live streams and the videos. And I do those because I really love I love comic books. I love science fiction and fantasy. And again, I really want to put a second. This is supposed to be the backup story in either the ISIS or the John Haynes graphic novel I'm working on. I want to give people a sample of what they would experience in a graphic novel. That's why I want everybody to pick up Blast from the Past, because this is what you're going to get in a graphic novel from me. That's what you're going to get. So that's a sample of what you're going to do. And J-Man, I don't do cyberpunk just yet. I have to do more research on it. But I just started doing vampire novels like Eternal Night. So I'm still wanting to diversify and branch out. But that's what I do, because I really am self-aware about all of what's going on in the Black community. And I know that we really need to see more diverse images, more diverse pictures of Black life. And you can't really see those pictures of Black life and see that diversity as related to Black life if you go to sleep, because what they want you to do is go to sleep so that you can go fit into the Black box that's acceptable to white people. And when you fit into that box, what happens is you start buying into stereotypes about Black people. It's like Barack Obama had said about Black people who supported Donald Trump. He thought, oh, they do that because of the hip hop and the bling, and they only want to see Black people who fit into their smooth world. So what they want the Black folks to do is start going into sleep. Yeah, J-May, Eternal Night is a vampire novel, but it's not Anne Rice and it's not Twilight. It's coming from the perspective of Lilith Graves, somebody who is a Black goth and then enters into the vampire scene. I mean, I draw a little influence from Interview from the Vampire from one scene, and I get inspiration for Lilith Graves' character, Aaliyah, from the movie Queen of the Damned, but that's about it. But most of the story is coming from me in the SJS Direct universe, and it's really dark, and it shows you a lot about 1994 and 1994's life. So it's a very unique vampire story. So you have to pick it up to find out what it's about. But I'm gonna get back to this topic because you have Black people, they want to go back to sleep, and they want to go back to sleep because they want to just get back into that routine. And that routine is one where they're just in this daze, just trying to go back to this fantasy of white acceptance, and they're trying to go back to that days where they don't have to, again, think about any sort of problems, and they don't have to work on any sort of solution. So this is something that a lot of the Black folks, they hoping to go back to, and they're hoping that if they go back to sleep, everything will be all right. So they don't want to go out here and do any sort of work, and they want to fit into these stereotypes, and these stereotypes are easy patterns that are created by your white racists. They create these ideas about Black life, and they want you to fit into these boxes that are acceptable. They want you to be the thug. They want you to be the rap guy. They want you to be the dope dealer. They want you to be the baby mama. They want you to be the hood rat. And they want you to play your roles in their smooth world so they don't have to deal with real people. Because having to deal with real people, this disrupts the white supremacist smooth world. And if they can go and get you to start dreaming and playing the pretend roles, they don't have to deal with a real person, and a person with real problems, and a person who wants to really break out of the box. So as long as you are sleeping, you're going to go back into that box, get back in that bed, play that imaginary role that they have designed for you. And then once you're playing the imaginary role that you want to play, that they want you to play, they can just give a pre-programmed response. Okay, you can just do A, B, and C, and everything is fine for them, but nothing is fine for you because you are going into this fantasy and you're sleeping in this fantasy. Meanwhile, your reality is turning into chaos. So they want you to go back to sleep because it's easy to get you to buy into these stereotypical roles. And one of the things I'm seeing right now is an effort to change Black media so that, then I'm not talking about new Black media, mainstream Black media, so they can get you to go back to sleep and play these roles. And one of the things that they're trying to do to get you to go back to sleep is they're trying to put all of these stereotypical shows on the air so they can start programming your sleeping mind to buying into their pre-programmed dreams. So what they want you to do is go out here and go and watch stuff like Lee Daniels and Terry McMillan's upcoming Waiting to Exhale. I see you, computer robots. They want you to buy into these type of shows. That Seth MacFarlane coming out here with Good Times. This is all about trying to get you to buy into certain roles, buy into certain stereotypes, buy into certain ideas about being black, and have you going in a spellbound fashion trying to fit yourself into these roles that make white people comfortable and make you acceptable to white people. Meanwhile, you lose your own true sense of black identity and you lose your whole sense of self because you're just playing a role in somebody else's world and you're never going out here being yourself. That's what happens to the sleepy folks out here. They just go out here and they play the roles that they are told to play, and they play the roles that are considered socially acceptable. And they go out here and they try to fit into those roles. And as they're sleeping, they're just following along with the script. And the scripts that they have for black people are designed to divide us and conquer us. And these scripts are being set up right now. Now, a lot of people at the end of this election, they weren't seeing how the scripts were being set up to restart the gender war, a war that had practically nearly had managed to come to an end over the last couple of years. We started to see your whole gender war over with because guys weren't talking that much about it except for a small sector of guys on YouTube in that manosphere. Most other black people were either talking about empowerment or they were talking about other things. But you saw seeds of people trying to restart this gender war because they know that the sleepy types, they want to get back into this gender war, talking about how black women are fighting black men, and they want to talk about how they're about these no good black men, and then you have the black males who want to talk about no good black women, and they want to see you guys going into a back and forth because they know the sleepy folks, they're going to keep going back and forth with each other. Meanwhile, they don't see how the white supremacist is selling them guns and butter to continue fighting each other. And what they want to do is start that gender war all over again to get these sleepy masses back in bed and get them having dreams of having these wars where they continue to go back and forth with each other on social media. And they add fuel to the fire because as you're watching these misandristic shows like Waiting to Exhale, or watching things like Good Times, you're seeing things like that go on. And yeah, there is a race war, Steve Wallamack. I will get back to that. I'll get to that in a minute. And they also want to get back to demonizing the black man. Now, you notice as after the election, we started to see again a resurgence of media demonizing the black man, trying to make the black man the boogeyman from these really ridiculous reports talking about how black men were bad for supporting Donald Trump. This was all about demonizing the black man. And this is all another part of the campaign to get the sleepy black folks back into their dream world because they know that a lot of black women out here, they easily get triggered by their negative experiences with a black guy that they've had in the past. And then they want to go out here and when they see these images of black men or these statements about black men, they start to get emotional. And what happens is they use your emotions against you so that you'll go out here and attack that black man in your community who has done nothing to you because you're just projecting the image of that other man on to him. So they want to get that started where we're having this gender war where we have these black women continuing to attack black men and we're having them say all of these bad things about black men. And that's all done to trigger an emotional reaction out of a black man and then have that black man go out here and then start making derogatory and insulting statements and misogynistic statements about black women. And then as that black man and black woman who are sleeping are flinging feces at each other in a dream. In the real world, the white supremacist is building their own empires and further expanding their empires because they're selling you guns and butter, and you're taking all your money and your resources to buy guns and butter instead of taking that money to build your community and build up your family. So that while you're tearing your community down in a war, he's profiting at your expense, and you're not even aware of it because you're so caught up in your feelings about trying to win white approval by trying to destroy the other person, that you don't see the person who's you're seeking the approval of is the one who is trying to destroy you both. And that's what they really want to do to a lot of black folks out here. They want you to go to sleep. And once you go to sleep and you're in dreamland, you don't see the damage you're doing in the real world because you're just so caught up in the fantasies you're having about getting this white approval and this white acceptance. You don't see how you're doing harm to yourself in the real world. And what's really sad about a lot of sleepy people is some of them get so caught up in their delusions that some of them actually get caught up to the point where they wind up in a time warp. And what I was talking about with one of my family members that was quite funny, I wanted to do a whole video on it, was how we got some black folks out here who are still thinking that we live in the era of New Jack City. And a lot of these people, they've been asleep for so long that they are still buying into the dream from 1989 from the movie New Jack City. And they're still thinking that they can go out here and build an empire similar to the Cash Money brothers, Nino Brown and G Money. And these people are still trying to make that fantasy reality where they are trying to still be like Nino Brown and G Money. And what's really sad is they are still so asleep that they don't understand that almost 32 years have passed since the days of New Jack City. And the 32 years have passed and they've practically missed out on everything in life. And they don't understand how the world has changed. While they're still talking about New Jack City and talking about dressing up like Nino Brown and talking about G Money and talking about being Cash Money brothers. Meanwhile, you've got a white dude talking about opening up weed dispensaries. And what's even sadder is you've got guys like Jay-Z talking about opening up those same said dispensaries in the very same community that they tore up. So when I looked at these black folks who are still buying into that fantasy, it is the ultimate example of sleepiness because this person has been so asleep so long, it's like a modern day Rip Van Winkle. I know the movie was released in 91, but they shot it in 89 and 90. So I go by the time that they shot the film. So it takes a while to get the film from pre-production to post-production. And when they shot it, it was the late 80s. So that might have been released in 91, but they shot it in 89. So that's where I'm going on. So the whole thing is that these people, these are like the ultimate sleepers in my as I've seen, and I've seen those type of sleepers. And again, sleeping from the late 80s and then the crack epidemic, and they're still thinking, hey, I can still make this happen. It's like, no, you can't make this happen in 2020. In 2020, the marijuana is legal in a lot of states, and you have white dudes opening up weed dispensaries and selling this perfectly legal. So those people no longer need guys like Nino Brown and G Money, and the price of everything has dropped, and there's nobody going out here shooting places up this bad. So this is something people aren't thinking about because they're asleep, and they're sleeping, still trying to live that life like New Jack City, and they're still thinking that stuff is cool, like driving around in a car with a boom stereo, having a boom box in their house, having a nightclub in their home. I mean, they're still sleeping, and the whole thing is they don't want to wake up to the reality that life has passed them by, and they've lost out on the very best years of their life going out here trying to chase this dream from this old movie. They're still thinking that this movie is fresh. I remember one of my family members, he was telling me about one day he went to the barber shop and this kid came in and he wanted to get a haircut, and he told the barber, hey, I want you to cut CMB, Cash Money Brothers, in the back of my head like New Jack City. Now, this was like the mid 2000s, and when my family member told me about this, I laughed at it, but then I realized this young brother was in a time warp, and nobody sat down and told him, hey, this movie was from, at that time, 20 years ago, but you have people who, in the Black community, they're stuck in these times. They've been sleeping, and they've been sleeping so long, they still think the world works like it did during that time period. And because they have not really taken a minute to take a look at the world and see, oh, wait, 10 years have passed, 20 years have passed, 30 years have passed. People don't do this anymore. They're still thinking that they are gangsters. They're still thinking that they're thugs. It's like they don't understand life has passed them, and as life is passing them by. And that's one of the saddest things about Black folks who sleep, is they don't see how life has just completely passed them by. They don't understand that you trying to, when you're asleep, you're buying into these fantasies created by Madison Avenue, Hollywood, and you're still out here fighting things like the gender war. Meanwhile, everybody else is building their civilization and they're building their legacy. Meanwhile, like Don Quixote, you're chasing windmills and you're missing out on life because you're caught up in foolishness. And I've seen this, sadly, like a lot of these guys who go on the YouTube, they're out here going out here beefing and arguing with each other for 5, 6, 7 years. You're still arguing with the same man, not understanding that that's sleepy behavior, and only a sleepy person is going to sit there and take a resource like YouTube to go out here and bicker and argue with someone, or have an 8, 9, 11, 12-hour live stream talking about Black women. They don't understand that they're losing the most precious intangible in life, and that is time. And that's what happens when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, you lose the greatest intangible that God has ever given us, and that is time. And when you lose time, you can't get time back. And that's what the white supremacist really wants Black people to do, is throw away their time, and throw away their time chasing frivolities and getting into nonsensical debates and nonsensical foolishness. They want them to go out here and waste their time, and they want you to do that because they know that a codependent person will just sit there and waste their time instead of going out here to do something constructive. Because when you go to sleep and you're sleeping, you're just sitting there going, oh, I'm just going to go out here and have a back and forth with this. I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning to go into a back and forth with a dude online, or I'm going to sit here and I'm going to try to recreate the empire from New Jack City, not understanding that New Jack City was a scripted movie, or I'm going to try to go do something ridiculous. I mean, this is what people do out here. They want to go back to sleep because having to deal with reality is just too hard for them. And sadly, you have a lot of Black folks, they want to go back to that sleep because they don't want to deal with the real world. They don't want to deal with real issues. And some people, they really don't want to take any sort of responsibility And they don't want to take that responsibility because it means you can't rely on a white man, and it means you can't blame a white man. So when there is no white man to blame for your problems, everything is on you. And waking up to that reality is a nightmare for a lot of black folks out here, waking up to a world where it's all on you and there is no white man to scapegoat. That terrifies some black folks, and that's what another reason why they want to get the chamomile tea and head for the bed, because as long as they're in bed, they can pin it all on the white man, and they don't have to take responsibility as black men and black women, and they don't have to go out here and take ownership for their lives as black men and black women. This is the thing that terrifies a lot of black people, and those terrified people are grateful that a Joe Biden is practically being nearly confirmed by the media, because we don't have official confirmation yet, as the president, because once he's confirmed as the president, which is what they're hoping, wishing, and praying for, they will then have the official permission to go to the supermarket, buy up some of that Celestial Seasonings chamomile tea, and then go back to their house, heat up the kettle, pour themselves a nice cup, get those pajamas on, and then head for that bed, and then go back to sleep and go back to dreaming about doing things like fitting into the black box that's acceptable to black people, engaging in the gender war, engaging in back and forths with black women, talking about how black women are so ratchet, black women are so no good, black women are rotten, and you have black guys out here having their dreams of going to get their passports and getting some foreign women, or going out here and having to save themselves with a white woman. These are the dreams that many black people have, and they want to get back to those dreams, and they want to get back to those dreams of going out here and being something that they're not, and they want to get back to their fantasies. So they want to go back to sleep, and even when some are woke, like Black Lives Matter, they want to get back in that bed, and they want to go back to sleep, and they want to go back to sleep talking about, oh, we helped elect Joe Biden. He's going to give us some tangibles because I sent him a letter. I mean, this is all sleepy time behavior. And that's what a lot of black folks, they want to get back in that bed, and they want to go back to sleep, and they want to go back to dreaming. And they don't want to, again, go roll up those sleeves, put in that time, put in that work, because putting in that work means they have to deal with real life pain, deal with real life stress, deal with real life trouble, deal with real life suffering, and they have to deal with real life issues like white supremacy, and they have to deal with real life racists right in front of them. And they don't want to do that. They just want to go back to sleep, where they can go out here and live in a dream world where they don't have to really deal with anything. Meanwhile, people are waging war against the black man and the black woman in the real world. And part of that is, if your enemy is too tired to fight and he's sleeping, it makes him vulnerable and makes him an easy target. And that's something many of the sleepy folks aren't really thinking about. Many of the sleeping folks aren't understanding that when you are in bed during a war, you are a target. And when you are in bed asleep, that's when the enemy can come in and do damage to you. So that they're thinking, oh, going to sleep is a good thing, but they don't understand the subtle politics transpiring around them, that the same person who wants you to go to sleep wants you to go to sleep for a reason, and that reason is they want you to go to sleep because it makes you vulnerable, it makes you an easy target, and it makes you somebody that's easy to take down. So having you sleeping is to their benefit, and having you asleep is something that makes everybody feel good. So they know that if you're asleep, You're no threat to them. And when you're asleep, you're somebody that nobody has to compete with. So when you have a black man and a black woman who are sleeping, they are no threat to white supremacy. They're not, their eyes are not open, and they're not talking about topics like black empowerment, and they're not talking about things like building up black pride. They're not talking about black self-esteem. They're not talking about getting tangibles in exchange for their vote. No, all of those discussions, they all go off the table when you have a black man and a black woman who are sleeping with that nightshirt on and in their beds, with them all nestled up in their beds, all snugly. Those people, they are no threat to anyone, and those people are the ones who they know they don't have to worry about, because as long as he's in that bed and he's asleep, he's no competition to anyone, and he's no threat to anybody's base. So when you have a black man and a black woman who are asleep, they're not focused on anything constructive. They're not focused on, again, getting tangibles in exchange for their vote. They're not focused on building a black agenda. They're not focused on healing the wounds in the black community. They're not focused on rebuilding the black man and black woman to becoming fathers and wives. They're not focused on rebuilding the black family, and they're not focused on helping to create black images in black media that empower black people. No, when you have sleepy people are focused on celebrity nonsense, like Halle Berry's latest whatever picture she has up of herself in a bikini and a skateboard, or they're focused on really ridiculous stuff like black men putting on dresses, or you have black men going out here and they're focused on silly things like a gender war, or you have black women focused on, oh, the black man is all of this misandristic black male bashing, and they're buying into rhetoric from already failed women like Terry McMillan. And as long as they're asleep, they're focused on nonsense, and they're not focused on doing the hard work that is necessary to do things like what I'm trying to do with developing the SJS, the first graphic novel at SJS Direct, and presenting positive black images out there. Things I need help with, again, with donations to the Patreon or the Cash App, which are greatly appreciated. But they're not focused on that kind of work. No, they're just focused on foolishness, and they want to get black people's minds back on foolishness, because a sleepy person, all they do, their mind is not right, and their mind is not focused. And what they're focused on is real silliness. I mean, they're focused on this celebrity stuff, and all sorts of nonsense. Religion is part of sleepiness, because what happens is that they're focused on the social matters in the church, and they're not focused on the Most High God, because the Most High, he wants us to focus on being awake and aware, because he wants us to watch. And he states that in the Bible, he wants you to have yourself watching and waiting for him to return. So he's not gotten you sleeping like the pastor wants you to sleep. The pastor wants you focused on religion, and he wants you focused on social things. But God himself wants you to be awake, because he wants you to be aware when he is coming, because he is coming like a thief in the night. And a thief in the night is coming where you don't know he's coming, but the only people who would notice him is those who are watching and have their eyes open. But, they don't want you to have your eyes open. They want you to have your eyes closed, and they want you to be distracted, and they want you to be distracted with foolishness like a black man in a dress, or a black woman talking about no good black men, or other silly nonsense, or whatever celebrity is doing. And again, this is about putting you to sleep. And I asked the critical question, do black people want to go to sleep? And yeah, I have to say, there's a lot of black people out here who want to go to sleep. They don't want to deal with reality. And what they look at this 2020 election is that permission to go back to sleep, get back in that bed, and be able to go to dreamland, and then go back to living that in that matrix, in that blue pill state where everything is manufactured for them, and they don't have to go out here and put in the work that God wants us to put in towards empowering ourselves and moving ourselves ahead. They don't want you to see anything like that. They just want you to go to sleep. And there are people who are ready to hit that snooze button. They're reaching for the button right now, and they're waiting for January 20th, 2021, so they can hit the snooze button and get back to the dysfunctional state of business as usual. That's what they really want to do. And we're starting to see things as related to that, people wanting to go to sleep. And I'm seeing people making those preparations, like I saw with people when they were trying to get this gender war started. And I'm starting to see all of these negative statements about black men out here. I see the hand heading for that button, and it's like more and more you see black folks reaching for the button. They're getting to, or other ones getting the tea, other ones getting the pajamas, ordering the pajamas for Christmas. I mean, you can see the actions getting ready to happen, and you see the people doing this. And again, it makes me shake my head, because these people, again, some of them talk about how woke they are, but I'm seeing them in the striped pajamas with the hat on, and and I see them just getting ready to go to bed. I see a couple dudes with the warm milk. I mean, and you see them getting ready to go to bed. And it's really sad to see, people getting ready to go to bed. And the sad part is they weren't even awake that long. I mean, it was almost like the way a baby is when they're asleep, when they wake up. I mean, that was one of the most interesting things to me, because it's like, it's only been 4 years of them being awake, and we've had them asleep. And it's like some of them started to wake up, during the last 4 years of the Obama presidency. Some of them woke up within the first year of the Obama presidency. And now we have them almost 12 years later, a lot of them getting ready to go back to sleep. And that's one of the saddest things I have seen with black folks is over the last, couple months, is not even couple months, just the last 2-3 weeks, as they were in the streets hooping, hollering, and praising the election of Joe Biden. It was like that last gasp of life before they go out here and they go hit the bed. I mean, funny, Ken. Yeah, they do have the cookies with the warm milk, but that's what they do. They have that midnight snack, and they're waiting to get ready to get back in that bed. And I want everybody. I just wanted to look at it, because it's just a really sad development with black folks. I mean, they went out here to put in all this struggle, and they're not making any progress. And then taking that step back, and this is a willful and intentional step back, because they would rather have the zaddy or the master do the work for them, rather than continue to take those steps towards moving themselves forward. So that's a sad group of black people, but I look at it as a really sad step back. You have black folks wanting to go to sleep, and going to sleep, again, you're going to wake up in a world that will change completely around you. And while you're chasing the dreams of becoming the next Nino Brown, somebody has already cornered the industry, and they're already making profits at your expense. Because that was the sad part about all of those guys during the crack epidemic. We had so many black men and black women kill each other. Then we had guys like your Joe Biden put the rest of those black men and black women in prison. And now, as they were in prison sleeping, they're waking up, and as they're being released into a world, and that world is filled with white people who are now taking over those said industries and controlling the dollars of that whole business. And that was a business that a lot of black men fell into, and was used to imprison them. And they got no economic empowerment out of the deal. And now they've got absolutely nothing in return for that, except losing years of their lives in prison, losing years of their lives on the streets and even losing their lives. And now you've got all these white folks coming in, taking over these industries. And what's even sadder is you've got guys like Jay-Z helping those same white people take over those industries. And now they're going to make billions of dollars on that business. And those black people, all they got to show for it at the end of the day and at the end of their life is absolutely nothing. And that's the saddest part about when you go out here and sleep, you wind up missing out on the best of life. I mean, God has so much for you and wants to give you an abundant life, but most black people, they don't believe in the Most High God, who is not a man. No, they believe in the God that is the white man. And they believe since Joe Biden was elected and is a white man, he is going to give them the command to go back to sleep. And that's what they want to do, is go back to sleep and have those dreams. And then as they're having that sleep, the rest of the world is going on and they're missing out on the very best in life, going out here, wasting their life with foolishness instead of going out here and trying to fight for a better quality of life. I mean, what good is hope and change if you don't put effort in? And that's always been the problem with black people, is they're looking for somebody else to do for them what they should be doing for themselves. And that's a group of black people, again, that were the ones out here hooping, hollering, and celebrating the 2020 election, celebrating getting nothing, celebrating getting no tangibles, and celebrating voting for going back to a sleepy state where they'll wind up dreaming for another 4 to 8 years, another 4 to 8 years that are going to be lost out of their lives, and another 4 to 8 years where they're not going to make any progress because they're looking to get progress without any sort of struggle and looking to get tangibles without making demands for something in exchange for their vote. So they're sitting there thinking somebody is just going to do things from the bottom of their heart, and nobody's going to do anything from the bottom of their heart for you. I mean, that's another big problem with some black folks, because they're so caught up in their feelings about white acceptance and white approval. They think that going out here and seeking tangibles is about teaching the intangible of love. And this is not about them having love for you. That's that codependency having an effect on the black mind. You're still looking for love from an imaginary white man, but this man does not love you because he's not a member of your family. He does not care about you. I mean, they think that this white man is like a god, and like God, he loves you. But no, that's not a God. That's a false Christ. And again, a false Christ who hates you and who does not want anything for you. I mean, this is not your Father, the Most High living God, again, who is not a man, and it is clearly stated in the Bible, he is not a man. The Most High living God, he loves you and he wants the best for you, but you have to turn to him and walk away from this idolater and his idols like this Joe Biden, and stop looking from the idolater and the idol to give you something, because the idolater, the false god, has no interest in giving you anything. This false god, he does not love you the way the Most High living God does. This false god, what he wants to do is have you follow him down a dark road. And when he has you following him down that dark road, it is to destroy you. And that's something most of the sleepy time black folks don't want to think about, because they're caught up in religion and they don't know anything about the living God. They don't understand that what you're looking for from these men who you deify is not going to happen, because this man does not love you. He just wants to just use you. And this is what a man that you're worshiping, you think you're going to get something, and you think you can go to sleep because he tells you. But the Most High living God tells you in the Bible, faith without works is dead, and faith in a false God is dead altogether, because this God does not believe in you like the Most High living God. This God does not love you, and this God is not the master and facilitator of all resources. This false God, He makes it look like he's a certain thing, but black people who are asleep, they can't see the reality about this false God, and they can't see that this is a false God, and this white Jesus that you're worshiping is not anybody on this earth. I mean, he's not real. I mean, that you're worshiping, because this is an idea that you have, and you project that idea onto this Joe Biden, and you've turned him into a god, and you believe because this God has told you to go to sleep, you're doing something, but in actuality, the Most High living God already told you faith without works is dead. And as you are working, you are trusting in the Most High to facilitate getting things done for you and work things out for you. So that's what a person who is awake understands, because they understand the Most High told you to watch out and keep your eyes open. But that flies over the heads of the people who deify white men. They are out here wanting to go to sleep because their God told them to. And what they want to do is go back to sleep, and sleep some more. And meanwhile, they wake up in a world, and then want comes on them like an armed man, like it's stated, I think, in the Proverbs. The want comes on them like an armed man, and they wind up wanting to hurt people. And they want to hurt people because they wound up sleeping, and they wound up missing out on everything that was important. And in the case of some of the black folks who want to sleep, they spent most of their time, again, in the dreams and delusions, fighting gender wars, fighting against, fighting another black man, and fighting to destroy another black man. That's what they spend their time fighting over. Meanwhile, like Cam Wee is talking about, they gentrify your neighborhoods, they destroy your communities, they take over your communities, and you wind up with absolutely nothing because you're so busy sleeping. You're not keeping your eyes open, and you're not watching out, and you're not watching out for Jesus, and you're not watching out for anything spiritual. You're just sitting there sleeping, thinking about stuff that's foolish, and that's what they want you to do. That's what the white supremacists want you to do, is go out here sleeping, and he wants to get you back in that somnolent state so you can focus on him as a God, and you can focus on him as the facilitator of resources, and he'll give you some crumbs from the master's table, but you'll never get anything abundant, and you'll never get towards the words of an abundant life. So you'll miss out on all that because you're so busy sleeping, and you're going to miss it all. And sadly, a lot of black folks would rather miss it all because they worship the white man and they don't worship the living God. And they want to go back to sleep because Joe Biden, the God that they serve, told them to go to sleep. And they want to get back in that bed, and they're so eager to get back in that bed. And sadly, what I'm seeing is on January 20th, 2021, we're going to see a whole lot of black folks looking to go and pull those sheets back and get between those sheets and go right back to put that pillow over their heads and go right to sleep. I'm going to get ready to wrap up the stream at this point, and I want to thank everybody for coming out to the stream. And I'm asking everybody to please pick up a copy of Eternal Night, the premier book on the SJS Direct Fall catalog. This is an action-packed African-American vampire story, similar to Blade and Vampire in Brooklyn. So this one is a lot of fun, and people have already said that they've enjoyed this book. They really like it, and I want you guys to experience it as well. It was the most successful launch of an SJS Direct book ever, and I don't want you to miss out. So pick up a copy of Eternal Night on Amazon.com in paperback. So pick up a copy of Eternal Night. I'm gonna leave a link to it in the chat again. And 56 in the chat, 56 thumbs up. Thank you very much. 58 in the chat, guys. Please pick up a copy. I mean, if enough people pick this book up, we can really knock up the Amazon rankings, and that would be awesome. I mean, this book is absolutely, people love it. So I want everybody to find out how great it is, and you can pick up a copy of E-Steam Blast from the Past, which is the book for November. This is coming out on Black Friday, and you can pick it up this in paperback right now because I wanted the people to be able to get the paperback, so I published it already. And so this one, again, also features the first SJS Direct comic by Bill Walko, E-Steam No Good Deed. So this one has a comic, and I'm hoping to get a comic out soon. So this is a sneak preview of what you would get. I also have other books in the SJS Direct imprint I would love you to pick up. ISIS the Main Event, which was this spring's 2020 book, where the goddess next door steps in the squared circle, and The Temptation of John Haynes, which has a cover refresh by Mike Williams, and John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose. This is the third book in the John Haynes series, and people love this one too, so you definitely want to pick this one up. All of these books can be found on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and it's the holiday season, so you can definitely pick these books up and share them with your family. I have one viewer who picks up my books in the John Haynes series and the ISIS series and the E-Steam series, and he shares them with his kids. And these books are family friendly, kid friendly. Everything in them you could give them to anybody from 7 to 70. They make great gifts, and they present positive images of Black people and inspiring, uplifting images of Black people. And it's a great way to start your kids out reading positive Black fiction. So I would appreciate if you guys would pick these up again for over the holiday season. I mean, it's a great way to get your kids into reading positive Black characters and positive Black stories. Hoping to be out this weekend with a video on the cancellation of Black Lightning. So that's going to be coming up next. The John Haynes books, Far Side, the John Haynes series books are usually 70 pages to 60 to 70 pages. The Temptation of John Haynes is 400 pages. And it depends. The novel Temptation of John Haynes is 400, and the series books are like 60 to 70 pages. So there's still a full story in each book, and it's just fun, fantastic reading. Thank you, T-Mac. I wanted to give you guys a great live stream, and I had fun doing this one. And I hope you'll be there for the next live stream, and I hope you'll be there for the video about the cancellation of Black Lightning this weekend.